Welcome, everybody, to the Fasting Transformation Summit, where we're uncovering the most ancient, inexpensive, and powerful healing strategy known to mankind, fasting. I'm your host, Dr. David Jockers, and I know you've been hearing about fasting. It's literally all over the internet. And in this summit, we are bringing you the truth, the scientific evidence, and really practical strategies on how to fast to improve your health. And today's topic is detoxification support during a fast. And I brought on one of the leading voices in natural health and a mentor to me, Dr. Michael Murray. And he's called the voice of natural medicine. He truly is. He's published over 30 books, including a book I have right here that I reference often called the Encyclopedia of Healing Foods. He's been featured literally all over the media. He's also a faculty member of Bastyr University and the chief science officer of Enzymatic, which is a great supplement company. For the past 35 years, Dr. Murray has compiled a massive database of original scientific studies from the medical literature. Personally, he's collected over 65,000 articles, which provide strong evidence on the effectiveness of diet, vitamins, minerals, herbs, and other natural measures, kind of like fasting, in the maintenance of health and the treatment of disease. And you can find him at drmurray.com. And so, Dr. Michael Murray, thank you for joining us here at the Fasting Transformation Summit.
Thanks, David. I love the name of your summit. Transformation is always a great thing, and fasting can be a powerful vehicle to make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how did you get going? I mean, obviously, you've got this passion for research. How do you get started in the natural health world and become the voice of natural medicine?
Well, there's an inner story and kind of the outer story I tell everyone, and I'll do a little bit of mix of both. My father had developed a condition called Bell's palsy. It's a condition where you lose the innervation to the muscles of the face, and his face was literally paralyzed. And he went and saw a naturopathic doctor, and it literally brought his face back to life. And I had a knee operation a couple years prior and just wasn't really responding to physical therapy. And he suggested I see this naturopath, and I did. And it was just a miracle in my life. And that just stimulated me to want to learn more. And the more I learned about diet, herbs, natural approaches to health and healing, it just resonated with something deep inside of me. And this became my mission. And I feel really blessed, and I've gained so much personally from the path that I was led to, and hopefully I've made a difference in the world on my own path.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you certainly have. I mean, and I really want to acknowledge you for just paving the course for younger people like me to come up and have all these great references and be able to really share this message with more and more people throughout the world. And you've seen, I mean, literally over the last 20 years, just huge growth in natural health and natural wellness. And so a lot of the work you've done has helped pioneer that. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you. And this is such an important topic. I just want to stress that to all the viewers out there. I really believe that the greatest threat to human health today is not some super virus or even eating too much sugar or junk food. The biggest threat to human health is the ever increasing environmental toxin load. And we are at the top of the food chain. And so we have the ability to increase as we age the concentration of these toxins in our body. We are bioaccumulators of these toxic compounds. And it's really, really important these days to do everything we can to avoid and then support our body's ability to get rid of these toxic compounds. So I really welcome the opportunity to talk about this really important subject.
Yeah, you're so right about that. We need detoxification strategies, and that's your topic today. And so what kind of results and like what strategies do you like to use for detoxification and fasting?
Well, I think that, detoxification is really kind of a complex series of events in our body. And we require an unbroken chain of these events to effectively get rid of toxic compounds. And one of the great basic tenets of naturopathic medicine is to remove obstacles to cure. And obviously these toxins can be an obstacle, but so too can our inability to get rid of these toxins. And there's a lot of things that go into getting rid of these toxic substances, and we have to support our body properly a day in and day out, but I think especially during a fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And what sort of toxins are the big ones that we're trying to eliminate from our body?
Well, thousands of years ago, when they were doing fasting for healing, they were mainly concerned with water-soluble metabolic toxins, the toxins that our body naturally produces. And uh, I think water fasting was really a great way to kind of flesh all these compounds out. These days, the toxins that we're most concerned about are fat-soluble toxins, uh, pesticides, herbicides, flame retardants, solvents, heavy metals, and these compounds are stickier and harder for our body to get rid of. And we have to use, I think, different types of strategies along with making sure that we're well hydrated to get rid of these toxins. So I think that there's a lot that we can do to assist the body get rid of what are called persistent organic pollutants, and those are the compounds that I mentioned. Part of those that I mentioned: pesticides, herbicides, flame retardants. These are the compounds that I think when people think of toxins these days, that's really what they're thinking of, and for good reason. These are really harmful compounds to our health.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, we store them in those fat cells. And so when we start to fast, our body starts to break down those fat cells to use for energy. And so therefore those toxins can start to get out into the bloodstream. And
Mhm.
so let's talk about some things that you like to utilize, like vegetable broths and juices, and really how to prepare those, as well as the benefits of that and how that can help reduce the toxic load in the system.
Well, thank you. I think that even before going on a fast, we have to kind of prepare ourselves for it. There's an old saying: "Any fool can fast, but only a wise man knows how to begin and end one." And so I think there has to be kind of an easing of our system into it. And so I like to recommend a really clean diet prior to any form of fasting. And I know that the audience is going to be a spectrum of people that are capable of enduring and doing well on a water fast or a juice fast. But then there's also people that are probably just getting started, and they really need, I think, to be a bit more careful, especially if they're carrying a lot of excess body fat, because as you said, these toxins get stored in our fat cells, and as we start reducing our calorie intake, our body starts releasing those compounds. So we want to ingest things that can help our body get rid of those toxic compounds, and food can be very helpful in doing that. Good clean food with a focus on high fiber, high water content vegetables. And you mentioned vegetable broths. These are great ways to kind of prepare our body to deal with a fast. And there's no real wrong way to ingest a vegetable broth. I do like the garlic and the onions and the high sulfur content vegetables, cabbage and kale and those sort of things, to kind of get our body ready to get rid of these toxic compounds, and then continue to utilize vegetable broths, during a fast. Within moderation, we want to keep that calorie content low, and we want to make sure we're breaking down those fat cells, but we also want to make sure that we're giving our body the proper support. And a potato-based vegetable broth is okay as well. It's going to provide some starch and some sustenance, but it's also going to provide some electrolytes, potassium and whatnot. So that helps as well. I'm a big fan of juicing. I've written a whole book on juicing, and it's been part of my lifestyle, for the last 40 years. And I just think it's a fantastic way to kind of flood your body with these important phytochemicals that can help detoxify our body. And I like to kind of pump up my food and my juices. I tell people to spice it up, and When we're talking about juicing, I like throwing in ginger, fresh turmeric root.
Mm.
I like throwing in, parsley, basil, mints. These are powerful, concentrated sources of detoxifying agents. So, I go a little bit extreme at times, but I think that's what happens when you, you know, follow a kind of a path for 40 years. You got to mix it up, and you find things are really refreshing. Like, I mentioned mint, and I think mints are just, part of God's gift to the earth. They're fantastic medicines, and I think they're very effective in nourishing and supporting our digestive system. So I like to use the mints quite a bit, and you can do that in the vegetable broths as well as in the juices.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk a little bit more about the juices. And so there are certain vegetables that provide a lot of juice. I think about like cucumbers or something like that. And
Yeah.
there are other ones that provide a lot of chlorophyll. And there are other ones that basically are more like the bitter herbs. I always tell people bitter is good for your liver. And so
Yeah.
how do you like to set up your juices using those three categories?
Yeah, I kind of let people run amok, I guess, because the biggest thing is to enjoy what you're doing. And
Mhm.
so, uh, I have some of my favorites, and I encourage people to experiment. They might find something that they really, really like. For example, I have this one drink I call Better Red Than Dead, and I discovered this drink many years ago because yams were plentiful. I'd never juiced yams, and you think, well, what would that taste like? Yams, sweet potatoes. When you juice them, they do yield a lot of juice, and it actually tastes great. And then you throw in beets and your radishes and other things in there, and you can really really spice it up. Yeah, there's no real steadfast rule other than to experiment and find the things that you like. I mean, a lot of times people get stuck just drinking and eating the same sorts of foods every day. Carrots are very good for detoxifying, but I wouldn't just drink a plain carrot juice. I would add to it. I'd add ginger. I'd add parsley. Uh, I'd
Yeah.
add mint. Something to kind of spice it up and give it a little extra push to health benefit. And on a fast, either preparation for a water fast or doing a juice fast, um, I generally would recommend 8 to 12 ounces of fresh vegetable juice, up to three or four times a day. Um, and some of my favorites for fasting, yeah, carrots are readily available. I like beet juice. I think beets. I refer to beet juice as the vegetable Viagra. It has so many benefits and very beneficial to our heart and vascular system, but it also supports the liver, as you said. Uh, I like adding ginger to just about anything, and getting into the fruits. I like pineapple ginger. I like even apple ginger. Just it's a great way to get that ginger into you. Sometimes just straight ginger shots are super, but people aren't used to that. I recommend diluting it with a little bit of apple juice or pineapple juice. It makes it a little bit easier to get down for some people.
Yeah, for sure. And so when somebody's looking to possibly do something like a 5 to 7 day juice or broth fast in a preparation mode, would you recommend, like, let's say, taking a month or so or a few weeks and just replacing one meal with like a big juice or a broth or something like that to get their body used to kind of that lower calorie,
Yeah.
and getting used to getting their body prepped, and opening up the drainage pathways? Would you recommend
Yeah,
that?
I think that's all really good. What I would recommend for people in general, preparing for any sort of 3, 5, 7 day juice or water fast, is that at least 3 days prior to starting to do just raw foods and with a focus on vegetables. The exception is eating some drinking some vegetable broths and soups and that sort of thing, because I think those can be kind of nourishing and satisfying in the same way. yeah, I think focusing on raw foods 3 days prior to a fast and 3 days after, really, it's just a great way to kind of set the stage for giving your body some tools to help detoxify, and also kind of getting used to a lower calorie intake.
Yeah. And what are some of the benefits of raw foods? What are some kind of meals that people can do with raw foods?
Well, obviously salads, and
Mhm.
there's lots of different ways to do that this day and age. I mean, it's so easy these days to eat healthfully. You can go to the store and you can buy these pre-mixes of organic greens and herb mixes. I've fallen in love with the microgreens. I don't know if you've seen those,
Yeah, I
if you have
have.
those
Yeah.
in stores, but man, I tell you, I just think that they taste so much better. The stores here where I live, uh, we have micro arugula, micro kale. We have uh, micro mixes and various sprouts, and I just think it's good to kind of try different things. Eating the same boring vegetable type salads every day, I think doesn't make life that much interesting. So I like to mix it up, and discovering these and having these microgreens available, because I find that they're more alive and they just taste better. And there's ways you can change the kind of the nature of a salad just by the salad dressing, and there's healthy ways to prepare salad dressings. And uh, I'm sure you have some recipes. I have some recipes as well. Uh, I think variety is very key in life, and I think is very key in diet. And so I would just recommend, 3 days prior to a fast, really get creative in how to enjoy raw foods, because it's not just, if you're just going to focus on eating raw carrots and celery, your body, your brain is going to freak out. You have to put some forethought into it and really plan out your menu, and go to the store and look around and see what interests you, and make it fun. Like, this sounds really simple, but I encourage people to give it a try. Jicama. Jicama is basically a free food. It doesn't have any calories. It costs more calories to ingest it, in terms of we use up all this energy to break it down and utilize it than the jicama has in its content. So what I like to do with jicama, eating it plain is fine, but I love mustards, and there are different types. I mean, I'm kind of a mustard connoisseur. I have 3 or 4 different types of mustard in my refrigerator right now, and dipping the jicama in different types of mustards, it mixes things up.
Yeah.
And it's a simple thing. A daikon radish, same thing. I like dipping daikon radish into mustard. So uh, 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 I'm gonna offer a few different things for your viewers to we're gonna give them a link, and I'm gonna have a magazine that I put together that's basically lots of great information on fasting and detoxifying. I'm also going to put some of my favorite raw food recipes and salad dressing recipes, just in ideas on how to enjoy raw foods. Now, I want to encourage certain people to also utilize raw foods during their fast. Technically, fast is an abstinence from eating solid foods, but there are certain people that I think can really benefit from the assistance of eating food during a cleanse. Uh, when I first got into natural health, I did a lot of fasting, and the first time I went on a fast, I broke out in this really odd rash. I felt terrible. My head was spinning, and I had joint pain, and I had a fever, and I just was not doing well at all. And I started thinking about that because I was told, I went in and talked to this guy at the health food store. He said, oh, that's a cleansing reaction. And then I started thinking about that. And the more I learned, I don't think it's really in that particular situation. I don't think it was a cleansing reaction. I think it was my body freaking out from an incredible release of stored toxins. And I would tell people if they start experiencing signs of auto intoxication, that's not toxicity in their car, it's their own personal toxicity. I think they can benefit by eating a little bit of raw foods to kind of take that process back a little bit and give some support to detoxifying. So now, someone like yourself who's done multiple fasts and really, it probably does intermittent fasting as well. Your body's well attuned, and you've probably significantly lowered your toxin load, and these sort of cautions wouldn't really apply to you. But for a lot of the people that I've seen and who want to make drastic changes in their lives, they've got to sometimes use training wheels before they get to pedal on their own.
Yeah, I mean, reality is that we've got to get that liver moving well. A lot of people have very, very sluggish phase 1 through 3 liver detox, sluggish colons, and we got to get those drainage pathways opened up. Or you're right, it's kind of like, we want our body to, in a sense, to be like a river, flowing like a river, not just stagnant like a pond, or else, in a sense, we get that auto intoxication, and it obviously can be significant problems that can occur. We get a lot of hydroxyl free radicals that are produced, and you can feel sluggish, lightheaded, breakout in rashes or hives or whatever it is. And so I think having a proper setup period and preparation before the fast is extremely important. Now, let's talk about what to do when you're finished. Let's say you do a long fast. Clearly your digestive system now we've put a lot more energy into healing and repairing the body than in the digestive system. And so we wouldn't want to come off of a fast and go and eat steak and potatoes, right?
Yeah.
Instead, we got to come off properly. So how do we do that?
Well, yeah, first, there's a few things I would recommend for people to consider while they're going through the fast or cleanse. And I think supplements are okay. And I think supplements can be very helpful depending upon the types of toxins that you're trying to get rid of. For example, with heavy metals, we know that B vitamins, as well as essential nutrients and like minerals, can be very effective at pushing out lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, all these toxic heavy metals. So I think that taking a high potency multiple vitamin and mineral formula, extra Bs, and making sure you're getting all those minerals in your diet is really critical. During a fast, if you're dealing with some heavy metal issues. I also think that we can give our liver some additional support, various lipotropic factors for the liver, choline, methionine, acetinosyl methionine or SAMe, special herbal compounds like milk thistle extract, N-acetylcysteine. I think these can be very helpful. I also think it's a good idea for many people to take some sort of water-soluble fiber supplement at night before going to bed. I just think that it helps the cleansing process, and it keeps things moving. Sometimes in some people, when they go on a fast during the evening, there's too much stagnation and there's not peristalsis, so there's not an effective elimination of these toxins that the liver's processing. So fiber, particularly water-soluble fibers, can bind those toxins and help escort them out of the body. So I like to support people with nutrition in the form of supplements during a fast. And I've written on this, and I actually developed a product for Enzymatica called Purify. We have a 10-day total nutritional cleansing program that features some supplements. But I think that it just makes sense to take advantage of these foods in the form of supplements to help protect the body from these toxins, as well as help get rid of them. Now, as far as transitioning off the fast, again, I'm going to go right back to raw foods and try and do that for 3 days, and then the third day, maybe have some steamed vegetables and along the way. And I do consider those vegetable broths somewhat of raw foods. I look at them as being just concentrated sources of minerals and electrolytes, and I think that really helps our system during a recovery from a fast.
Yeah, they're kind of like you get the essence of the plant in there,
Yeah,
in a sense, without the fiber when it's just a straight broth. You
yeah.
get that essence though, and so that can be so powerful. Yeah, and so what about fermented foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, things like that? When can you introduce those? Like right at the end of the fast? What are the benefits of that?
Yeah, um, I kind of have mixed thoughts on that. Yeah, I would stay away from pickled and fermented foods, during that prep period and also immediately after. And the reason is that they are rich in nitrates and nitrosamines, and our body is still in that process of getting rid of toxins, and I do think that it may put a little stress on certain detoxification processes with fermented foods during or too close to a fast.
Okay, well, that's really good to know. And so you talked a little bit about some supplements. What are some other things possibly that could support us as far as supplements, let's say pre-fast and post-fast? You talked about what to do during the fast. What else would help support our body and the detoxification systems?
Well, I think there's a lot of focus these days on intestinal health, and
Yeah.
especially the health of the intestinal lining. And I'm really deep diving into what they're looking at in animal feed, because what they're trying to do in animal feed is get away from antibiotics, and so they're dealing with some of the same issues that we're focused on in human health, such as intestinal permeability, such as leaky gut, and such as small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And it's really interesting to see what they're using in animal feed with great results. A lot of volatile compounds that we get in foods like cinnamon or oregano oil or these mints. The mint family includes a lot of things like rosemary and thyme and all these other plants that we don't normally think of mints, but they're part of that mint family. But anyway, these volatile oils, they help the enzymes work better, and they're using enzymes in these animal feeds and getting great results. And I work with Enzymedica, and so I have a focus on digestive enzymes. And I think digestive enzymes can be really helpful for so many people. Many people in the U.S. are dealing with chronic digestive issues, irritable bowel syndrome, gas, bloating, indigestion, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And a lot of times it's not the food that's giving them problems, it's their inability to break down the food. And these enzymes that we're using therapeutically these days, these are even more powerful than our body's own enzymes. These enzymes include plant sources and microbial sources, and they exert more powerful effects, and they are effective in a broader range of pH. And the results they're seeing in these animal feed studies are pretty impressive. And you combine that with what most naturopaths and many nutritionally oriented doctors have experienced for years using these sorts of enzymes, as well as what we're seeing with clinical studies in humans with the use of these newer forms of enzymes. And it's really encouraging, and it really supports the notion that in people who are dealing with kind of a weak digestion, maybe that's their weakest link, they really could benefit from utilizing digestive enzymes. And we're focused a lot on the microbiome these days. And here's my prediction, David. When we're looking at influencing the microbiome, what will eventually be shown is that our thoughts about providing more seeds in the forms of probiotic isn't really addressing the issue. Most people, the issue resides in the terrain. And so we're trying to put seeds in, it's going to be kind of like trying to plant grass in the Amazon. Throwing grass seeds out there, there's no room for them. And that's, I think, what we're seeing with some of the probiotics. They're just not able to take seed. We have to kind of terraform, or the term is rebiotic. We have to change the terrain. And I think that's where these enzymes are really showing value. A lot of times people with chronic digestive issues, for example, they have a lot of biofilm. And these enzymes are great for breaking down that biofilm. Anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent, but my point is, I think many people can really aid themselves after a fast or even during a fast by utilizing digestive enzymes as part of their program.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of digestive enzymes. One supplement that I put most of my patients, my clients on, and typically it's very inexpensive and makes a big difference. People notice a change and a difference pretty quickly. And just taking stress off of our digestive system and allowing the body, in a sense, that's really what fasting does as well. It's just kind of similar to what enzymes are doing, just taking stress off the gut, stress off the digestive system, and then allowing the body to start to reorganize the microbiome and to facilitate healing in the system. So definitely big fan of that. And
just a couple other things. I think it's really important with fasting is that you have a big bolus of. Normally think about bolus with food, but in fasting, I think you need a big bolus of water or juice because that activates the digestive system, and it causes the gallbladder to contract. It causes the pancreas to kick in. So, just stay really well hydrated, and it's okay to really fill yourself up, because I think it's really important to keep things moving in that digestive tract, and these digestive secretions are critical for that to happen. So just a little bit of words of wisdom there.
Yeah, and I think we're right on the same path with that. Just keeping your body flowing like a river. That's the key.
I love that.
Think about that river rather than the pond. And so any final words of inspiration? It's been a really, really fascinating interview, and I really appreciated just all the wisdom you provided. Any last words of inspiration for people that are looking to do some sort of a detoxification cleanse?
Yeah, I think that a lot of times when people are, especially when they're first getting into health, they sometimes think that the benefits are achieved long term, and that's true. But what I like about getting on an effective cleansing program or an effective fasting program is that the results can be dramatically better immediately. And that it's almost like changing your shirt or taking a shower and getting all clean, and you just feel better. And when people feel better, they have a renewed vigor and vitality and just enthusiasm for life. And if you don't have that enthusiasm, then I want to encourage you to follow these recommendations that David and the other experts have been giving you on really transforming your health in your life through fasting, because I think it can be dramatic, it can be immediate, and it's something that can really catapult you to a life full of passion for the rest of your life.
I love it, man. Absolutely love it. And yes, if you don't, finding inspiration, I always tell people, you want to find some reason when you go into a fast or a cleanse, you may be feeling low, but find some sort of inspiration. I always tell people, find a why that makes you cry, right? Whether it's your kids or somebody around you that can stimulate emotion. And because you're going to need that as you go through this lifestyle change. But you're right. I mean, you can flip the switch on your health by going through this sort of a process. And so, I mean, ultimately, fasting has the potential to unlock this dormant healing potential within you. And Dr. Murray, you really you really touched on that quite a bit and just gave us great strategies for how to prepare for a fast, go through it, and then come out on the other side and get the best healing results. So thank you again for being a part of this, and thank you for your contribution really to natural healing, the natural healing world in general. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again. And so for those of you that are listening, just remember, fasting, it's safe, it's powerful, and it just might transform your life. We'll see you on a future interview. Be blessed, everybody. See you soon.